Stephen Howson, full-time Devils, post-match, West Brom 1, Man United 0. And as much as I don't want to talk about one matter, and I don't want to make him a scapegoat because I just don't feel like it's the right thing to do, you have to question the senior players' attitude to that sort of thing. You can't make two fouls like that in such quick succession. The first one was nonsense. The second one was the sort of challenge that he just didn't need to make. If he'd have made that challenge on the edge of the box against Midtjylland, we might not have lost that first game, because that was what it came from. The challenge, maybe that was playing on his mind, because it was just a stupid challenge that he did not need to make. And Juan Mata's dismissal was the pivotal moment of the game, and I don't think you can blame it all on that. But when you go down to 10 men, it has an enormous effect on everything. And I saw people saying that West Brom looked like Barcelona once he went off. They didn't. I didn't think West Brom played particularly well. I just thought we was very, very poor. And what the disappointing thing is, shout out to my mate Paul coming up with this one. After Alan Hansen said you can't win anything with kids, this current Man United side can't win anything with senior players. The senior players that came into the side today, Smalling aside, did not perform. Carrick didn't perform. He was out running midfield. Damian looked just all over the place at right back. And you think, why have we dropped Schneidlin? Why have we dropped Varela? Why have we dropped Memphis? Why have we dropped players that have been performing for us in recent weeks to come up with a performance like this? And the one player that you thought did need not dropping but resting, because he's looked out on his feet several times recently, hasn't he? And that was Daley Blind. And Daley Blind starts another game and he just looks like he's just got no energy whatsoever. He looks completely knackered. Now, I know we've got injury problems, but we've also got options that we can use, and we've been throwing options in. I thought our best three players today were Smalling, Marshall, and Marcus Rashford. And I thought Rashford looked potentially like he was going to do something every time he got the ball. We just didn't get the ball to him enough. I felt like if we could get him one-on-one as much as possible with the fullback, especially once we moved him to the right-hand side, there was going to be some fruitful deliveries from him, or he was going to get a shot, because he was just had one thing on his mind, and the one thing on his mind was to get into the box and get past this guy. Marshall looked great down the middle, held it up well, was going past people at ease. He was unlucky with the foul that led to the free kick. I mean, I thought that may have been a goal for us. But again, it's the same thing, and you can excuse each individual defeat. You can mitigate and you can explain the circumstances why you've lost. But when you take the whole chunk of the season and the whole performances, and you look at the stats of how many we've lost and against who we've lost, and you go, well, there's a real problem that we are just simply not addressing here. And the problem is that we cannot overcome sides who sit back against us or look to counter us. And I don't know if I can articulate exactly why. I see players I see players receiving the ball in the opposition final third, and there's so little support for them that they end up looking shit because of it. They'll get the ball on the left-hand edge of the box and they'll look up, and every other team, when you watch other matches and you watch other teams play football, every other team will have 3, 4, maybe even 5 options of who they can give the ball to. United have none or one. And the one might be marked by 4 players in the middle of the box, or more than often than not, it's our centre forward who's got the ball and he's took it down the left channel or the right channel, and there is now nobody in the box because we play one up front. How do we fix it? How are we seemingly so good against the top 6s and so poor against the bottom 6s? I cannot for the life of me fathom it. It would be frustrating, but it would make complete sense if it was the opposite way around. It makes very little sense the way it is now. And people go, oh, it's because the other teams attack us. It is because the other teams attack us. But they're also higher quality sides, and we should be conceding more against those higher quality sides, but that's not the case. We're better against the quality sides and worse against the poorer sides. Why cannot we? And it's not just a case of creating chances. Yes, we have got like the lowest chance creation of any Manchester United side probably ever. But our accuracy is poor, as well as those chance creation. So we're creating fewer chances and we're converting fewer chances. What's all that about? Why are we now so poor? I mean, we can allow a single shot on goal and concede it. But we can never do that to the opposition. I remember us doing that to Southampton, I think a couple of years ago. But we have not done it to teams. Liverpool, arguably, I think, away, when we didn't deserve it. We come away with it. Now, I said at some point this run was coming to an end because we've got too many injuries, too many inexperienced players. There's still no confidence in the majority of the players. The fan base has got no confidence, and it's all right. You know, no one's wrong here for not having the confidence because there's nothing to have confidence in, really. And I said we were going to lose eventually. Now, out of the next 4 games, if you include this West Brom game in a group of 5 games, West Brom, Liverpool, West Ham, Liverpool, City, out of those 5 games, which is the one that you could accept losing the most? And it's probably this one, isn't it? Especially with the circumstances of Juan Mata getting sent off. We're still in the fight if we can beat City. That's the game, but we've got 3 cup matches in between. So we are still in the fight if we can manage to beat City. Now we've got to worry about West Ham because we didn't win today. We had to keep winning. But we're not out of the fight unless City. And City have got the opportunity to put us out of the fight effectively, I think. There's still a long way of the season to go, almost a quarter of the season to go. So it's not like it's all set in stone now. It's only going to be set in stone 2-3 games out. So there's a lot of football to be played and a lot of people still left to cock up. But that's the key game, is that City game. Now, Liverpool, I mean, they're as inconsistent as us. And in fact, they can go level with us in the league if they win their game in hand, which is bananas for how poor they've been. It shows how tight the league is, if nothing else. But I just can't wrap my head around it. It's so frustrating. The club are clearly not going to act on Louis van Gaal until the end of the season. For whatever reasons, whether that's because Mourinho's contractually not allowed to take over, because it maybe saves them some money on sacking him. There could be 1,000 reasons. There might be no reasons, and it's just pure indecision from the board. But it just feels like we're just a ship sailing in the middle of nowhere at the moment, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like there's much progression. Every step forward that we take, every little positive thing that happens, we're dumped right back into this depressing spiral again. And it's not as bad as the Arsenal fans, because they think they're going to win the league, and then they're dumped back down to reality. We only think that we can put a couple of runs together, a couple of wins together, and then we're dumped back into reality because we can't beat a team in 15th and 16th place. So thankfully none of us are really getting ahead of ourselves. But, you know, where's this season going to finish? I still totally think that top 4 is entirely possible. It's becoming increasingly less likely with every point that we drop. But where are we going to go in the Europa? I can see us beating Liverpool, and I can see us losing to Liverpool. And I can see us drawing to Liverpool, and I can see us losing or winning on penalties. I can see every single possible scenario happening with this game against Liverpool. West Ham, if they come for us, I can see us beating them. I can see them beating us. I have no idea how to predict Manchester United's play at the moment. I thought Arsenal was going to be a seriously tough test. Now, did they bottle it, or did we turn up? I don't know. I don't know what it is when you look back on this. I mean, it becomes more hilarious how poor Arsenal must have been to lose against us when, really, all we've done in the last couple of weeks is beat Midtjylland and Shrewsbury. So, the Arsenal game was validation for us, or was it validation for them that they're absolute bottlers? I don't know, because we're so inconsistent, we can't be relied upon to look at our data and predict anything from it. We're absolutely all over the place. I am very rarely lost for words. And I am a bit lost for words at the moment. And like the club, I have no idea where we're going. What do? I mean, do we look at the manager and say, not good enough? Do we look at the players and say, you can't just allow the manager to take the rap when some of the individual performances coming from you guys is just absolutely abysmal? I don't want to pile on Daley Blind because I think he's played too much football this year. I don't know the last time he had a rest, but his marking for their goal was atrocious. In fact, it wasn't atrocious. It was non-existent. Like I said, we can mitigate every single game and you can dissect every single game. But do you know what? You have to look at the season as a whole. And the season as a whole, we're the sixth best team in England, and that is the top and bottom of it. And for some reason we're good against the top teams, and for some reason we're poor against the bottom teams. And is that going to improve or decline? Based on what's happened this season, it could do both. It could do... I don't know. I don't know. The most frustrating season ever, including the Moyes one. Just every time you think that there's a bit of improvement, we just shoot ourselves in the foot and we go right back to square one. I don't know what we're going to do. But I'll say what, we'll be there next week, hopeful / deluded, thinking we're going to turn it around, won't we? So anyways, whatever. Thank you for watching. Bang it in the comments. What are we going to do? How do we fix this mess? Laters.